Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how we do mock-ups using Canva and Photopea. So this is a way to work around if you don't have access to Photoshop. I do have Canva Pro, so I pay for the yearly subscription, so I have more features that way. But there should be some things that you can do using Canva with the free version as well. You just might not be able to save as like an SVG or that sort of a thing. But I do want to show you how we do that today. So first, what we're going to do is make a new product using my Printify. So we'll jump on over to Printify and go from there. Okay, so here we are on my Printify. So I have this blanket already that I have in a woven blanket style, but I want to make one as a plush as well. So what I'm going to do is just duplicate this listing, and then I'm going to change it to a different style. So we're going to hit duplicate. Okay, so now we have this copy of the personalized woven blanket. I'm going to use the little 3 ellipses over here, and I'm going to say replace. So this is going to change it from a woven blanket to something else. So we'll hit replace. And then I want to do the velveteen plush instead. So we're just going to search through the catalog here and press velveteen plush, and it just popped right up. There it is. So I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to use Printify choice and continue. All right, so that already brought over the design, which was really helpful, so I don't have to look for that again. But I'm going to rotate this and then assign it and then adjust the sizing. Perfect. And then I'm going to change the personalized part as well. So make sure that that's not on an angle, and we'll center it. So we're going to click that, scroll down, and just center it. Whoops, wrong center. There we go. Okay, we'll make sure that's good. Perfect. And then I'm going to change my variants as well. So I want all the options. I'm going to go ahead and click through and slide this down. I'm going to make a specific design so that I can adjust the placement so we don't have a white section at the bottom of this blanket. All right, make sure that's everywhere it needs to be. Perfect, and then adjust the positioning of that. We'll do the same thing for the 60 by 80, make a specific design, slide it down, and then change the placement for the name. All right, so that was super easy. We're gonna go ahead and hit save the product, and I'll show you how we do the mock-ups next. So Printify will give you mock-ups that you can use if you want, but your mock-ups will look just like everybody else's. So I'm going to show you how we use the mock-ups that they give us in order to make our own customized mock-ups. So we're going to hit view all mock-ups, and then we're going to take the front pictures and we're going to save them. So to do that, you're going to click on the first one and then come up here and click download all. So this will save it with the sizes worked into the name for the file. So you don't have to try and decipher which one is the 50 by 60 and which is the 60 by 80 based on the ratio. It's already there, so you know it. I'll show you that. So in your downloads here, it shows my 50 by 60, 60 by 80, and 30 by 40. All right, so we've got those saved. We don't need to save the back ones. I am gonna go ahead, I will save the context ones because I use those since they show the size really well. So I'm gonna download those. So that should pop up. Okay, perfect. So we've got the 30 by 40, 50 by 60, and 60 by 80, just to help with sizing for people. And then that's all we need from here. Okay, so we're going to go over to Etsy. I'm going to show you what you can look for. I am going to search on Etsy for a velveteen plush mock-up. So that's the wording that Printify uses. You could even use the word Printify in there if you wanted to. But that's how I found mock-ups. So I wanted good lifestyle mock-ups that would showcase my products in a professional looking way, but also while being cohesive to my brand. So, a lot of people like these ones where you're holding the blanket up. That works really nicely just because you can see the whole blanket. It looks really professional. And then, when you look at the whole shop, then it looks cohesive. So when you've got all of them that kind of have the same tone and background, that's kind of what we're looking for. So you can see here, I've got these that showcase these woven blankets with somebody holding it up. I've got the baby ones where you can see the pattern over the crib. So it's really obvious that these are like newborn gift sort of ideas. I've got a lot of the holding it up though, because I think that's just a really good way to highlight the blanket. Okay. But everything is cohesive. So you've got those kind of neutral beige-ish tones in the background of all of mine. So it doesn't look messy on my page. Okay. And then if you went and clicked in woven baby blankets, it looks cohesive here as well. Okay, so I'm still working on building out my sections and all of that, but I want to show you how to go through the process. So what I did was I did a lot of research. I figured out which one was going to be a good fit for me, and then I purchased a mock-up bundle. Okay, I did that for velveteen blanket and also for the woven blankets because those are the two that I plan to use the most. Okay, so we have our Printify pictures saved, and now we're going to jump over to Canva. So here is a velveteen plush mock-up. So what I am going to do is I am going to go into my saved images from Printify, and I'm just going to trim them. So on a Mac, when you're in the preview form, all you have to do is click down and crop it like this, and then do Control K or Command K, and it will crop it. On a Windows device, you're going to have to go through it a little bit differently. It'll probably be in the edit area and then crop somewhere within there. But I'm going to crop all of these so that they are all set for me. So I don't want the white edge going around it. That's just going to make it a little bit more cumbersome. Okay, so now in Canva, I'm going to upload my new files. So I'm going to go to my downloads. I'm going to upload all of these in. All right, so they're all loaded. Now all that we have to do is click and drag into this area with your mockup. So this area with the cloud, all you have to do is click and drag into that cloud, and then it's going to update into the blanket. Now, a little trick that you can do to make this look more realistic is to click on that and then change the transparency. So at 100% transparency, you look here and it's there's a little bit of texture because we did save it from the Printify version rather than saving it from just the design image itself. But if we take the transparency down, you see how you get, let me zoom out so you can see that a little bit more. You can get the ripples of the lighting better that way. So it looks more realistic when you have a little bit of that shadowing, okay? We don't want to go here because that's changing the color completely. When we don't want it full 100% either, you want to find somewhere in the middle that's going to be as realistic as possible. And that is how you do it within Canva, all right? Now, if you have a PSD file, that's going to need to be used within either Photoshop or something like Photopea. I don't currently have Photoshop, so what I'm going to do is show you with Photopea. So you're going to just open a new tab, and we're going to type it in, Photopea, PHOTOPEA.com. And then from your device where you've saved those mockups, you're just going to pull up the one that you want. So here is a different one, and I'll show you the difference between a Photoshop version and the Canva version. This works really well to show like curves because it kind of forms the image to that blanket rather than just the straight rectangle. Okay, so in Canva, this worked really well in the straight rectangle, but if I did, let me find you one that doesn't have that. Okay, so here is the mock-up that we have. Any area where it shows this cloud is an area where you can input your own photo. So all you're going to do is with your uploaded file, you're going to click the picture and then drag it into this area. Now, if you see this, it clearly is not showcasing the design well. Okay, so if I double click on it, I can drag it up and kind of adjust the positioning there. So the blanket is going to be at least showing the bottom, but it just doesn't look right. Okay, so it basically just took the photo of the blanket and overlaid it into that shape, but it didn't curve anything. So on Canva, it works really well for generally just like rectangular patterns, like the one where somebody's holding it, or it might work for something that you can kind of modify on your own. So let's see if I have another good example. Like this one here where it's just the blanket on the ground, that's going to work really well because it's just showing the blanket. Of course, I picked the wrong size, but you can adjust that a little bit and then play around with the transparency there as well. But for something curved like this one, for instance, if you pull that blanket onto it or pull the photo on, like it's just not gonna work. Even if you pulled it up and you like rotated and adjusted that way, see how it's getting cut off in the corner here? Like it just doesn't work well. So what works better is using a PSD file. So with that, you can use either Photoshop or Photopea. So I'm over here on Photopea, that's PHOTOPEA.com. And I've opened up my file on here. So you go File, Open More, and then from your storage, it'll ask you to give access to certain folders on your computer. So I just pulled it up in my Velveteen Plush Blanket Mockups folder. Okay. And then over here, there's something called a smart object. What you're going to do is right click on the area. I'm trying to show you guys here. It's like a black and white grid, diagonal grid, and you're going to right click on that part and hover over the smart object and then hit replace contents. So here I'm going to click my blanket image and I'm going to press open. So see how that kind of conforms to things more? It just looks a lot more natural. It's still an overlay of that image, but because of the way that this item is shaped, they can actually kind of like move the pattern. So it just looks way more natural, way more like reality. Okay, let's see if we can find another option to show you with that one. So I'm going to open up, let's see, here's one where it's hanging like a tapestry type thing. So again, I'm going to right click on that little open grid, hit the smart object and press replace contents. And I'm going to put in the image there. Okay, so see how it curves with it? So it's just really natural that way. Now with this one, I have not figured out how to adjust the item, like if I wanted to change the angle of it or something like that. I haven't quite figured out how to do that. I know if you click on it, you can adjust the item from here. So you could do like transforming colors. You can do, I think you can crop it like this way. Oh, here's the cropping. So if you needed to change the cropping, you can do that sort of a thing. You can change the coloring. There are a lot of things you can do very similar to Photoshop within Photopea. I have not explored all of that yet. I'm basically only using it right now in order to do these mock-ups. So main thing here is right click Smart Object and then replace the contents. And then that will show up for you. Okay. Now from here, you've got, oh, I don't want that. You've got your item and you're ready to go, and you just go up and say file and export as a JPEG or a PNG file, whatever you want to use. And then you can use that in your mockups. But this is a really easy way in order for you to get professional looking mockups in your shop. So what I do is I find the ones that work really well for me and that I like, and then I can be consistent with them so that everything looks uniform within my shop. So I will oftentimes, once I get everything that I like, I've got like my the sizes, the little square that shows what's what. I've got all of those set, and then what I'll do is I'll copy and paste those areas. So copy ones that are already set, and then I'll just make a new one at the end, and then I'll pull, so this one I did that picture from the Photopea. So let's do that one, and we'll be consistent with it. So let's open. All right, so here's that one. So I'm gonna add my item here, replace the contents, boom, perfect. And then I'm gonna export it. So export as JPEG. Then I'm just gonna hit save. That's going into my downloads. And then I just upload that within Canva. And once that loads, I can just drag it and put it in the place of this reading blanket one. So just click it and replace it. And then this has 3 size options. So I'll write that in there, and boom, that one is done. And then I'll come over and I click and I pull it in the right spot because I've already done all of the hard work previously. But then you've got your images right there. Okay. So if I had maybe a different name that I put in there, I could go back to Printify and just change my item here so I could show that it would be different people's names. I would edit the design. I would change the name here to, we'll do Caitlin. Oops, that one's all caps. There we go. Let's do it like that. And then we'll just preview, and then I can download that mockup and use that. So it's just really, really easy. Okay, open. And then I show that we can do different people's names. So that's how I do mockups. So within Canva, you've got the options to click and drag into these spaces with the clouds. Okay, that works really well for the rectangular versions, not so well for things on an angle. Okay, you could angle things on here yourself though. So click that and slide it up. So this one might not be so bad because it looks like it's going over the side of the couch. But you always want to zoom in and make sure, like here, see, we've got that seam going up. So if somebody were going to look closely at that, they'd be like, that doesn't look real. And so they're not going to trust you as well as they might if it looked super realistic. So that's just one of the things you want to be really careful about, okay? When I do the woven blankets, I'm super careful not to use the design image because it doesn't show the colors properly. So what I will do instead is I will save the image from Printify just like I would in the mockups that they give me. And then I use those images that they've provided. So here, I've got this. You can see that there's a woven texture, okay? So on my Canva template, here I'm just gonna drag that in, and then I'm gonna open up my woven blanket mockups. Okay. So let's see, a good one to show you here would be this one, okay, where the person's holding it, right? So I'm going to go to my uploads, and because I've already got that woven texture in the picture, this looks pretty realistic, okay? So you zoom in and it goes right up to the edges, and they've got the woven texture in it, okay? So if I used just the photo of, or the design image that I used, it wouldn't look right. So I'm going to pull that up now. Okay, so of course this doesn't have the name in it, but I'm just going to show you for the sake of understanding. So you could pull in your design images, but the coloring's just not going to be right. And you want things to be as accurate as possible. Okay, so even if we do the transparency here, it still doesn't look the same as this, right? So somebody would order this blanket and thinking it's going to be more white than beige and that the color shading is going to be different, but it's really not. So I got the colors close with the transparency, but to be realistic, like that they're two very different things between these. So I would go as realistic as possible with all of your products, because again, that builds the trust with your buyers and you want them to trust what you're selling. Okay, so that is it. Again, you go from Printify, you pull your mockups straight from Printify, and then you use those mockups within Canva or Photopea or Photoshop if you have access to that. All right, well, I hope that helps you guys with doing mock-ups to make your shop look professional and uniform. Please let me know in the comments if you have questions about anything, or if you need suggestions or just another eye on something. I'm always happy to help. And you guys can always let me know if there's something you want to learn about. So we're all in this together. We're a team, and I look forward to seeing what comes next with you all. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.